The plan to strip you from your right to speak. Dems want you to worry about the Russians while they steal elections. And the Greenies want to kill your dog. That all next on The Michael Newman Show. Hello, everybody. It's The Michael Newman Show. I am Michael Newman. Please go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. There you can email me. Just click the contact link. It happens that simply. You can also tweet me. My Twitter handle is Newmaniac1. Check out all the rest of my social media as well. Check out the services link. I do voiceover and marketing services and that sort of thing. So I could work with you and help out your business there and support the show. Most importantly, support the show. It doesn't happen without you. I need your help to keep on going and ultimately just do this for a living. Right now, I do a bunch of other stuff too, so that's how it works. But just click the support icon. It's blig. It's blig. Yes, because I'm a communicator. It's big in blue, and right on the front of the website there tells you about Patreon. Then you can support this show on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. All right. Google and the European Union are battling it out. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it is just another page in this saga that we're going through right now here in the United States and around the world. And the truth is, governments and those in power have figured out that speaking in the 21st century, in the internet age, is becoming powerful, right? The internet allows people to communicate in a way that had never before happened in the history of the world. So it's very difficult to stop the flow of information, and just individuals, just the serfs, just the lowly little people out there to talk with one another and compare stories and kind of figure out what is right and what is wrong within society, and then begin to figure out ways to strip government of that power. They don't like it. They don't like it at all because they are the ones that should be in control. So, I'm not saying it's a conspiracy because it's not. There's no such thing as conspiracies unless you're talking about the Democrat Party. It's just individual governments taking an opportunity when it presents itself to create a way to start chipping away at the ideas of free speech. One of those ways is through monetary instances. A major battle is brewing in Brussels over an EU reform plan that would force internet aggregators such as Google News to pay newspapers for displaying snippets of their articles online. Now, look, it's my stuff, and you shouldn't print my stuff. No, it's news. And once news is out there, once news is in the sphere, once anything is sort of in the consciousness of people, then it becomes open. It becomes an idea. And when you share that news, and when you talk about that news, or when you repeat that news, it becomes your speech. That's what news is all about. But these companies, Rupert Murdoch's News Corp is one of them, Axial Springer in Germany, UK firm as well, are saying, well, we're losing a lot of revenue, and we hope to save the news industry from starving. Okay, number one, if the news industry is starving, there's a reason for that, and it's not the internet. Okay, it's either one, because you have a crappy product, or number two, you have a good product that you haven't figured out a way to work within the framework of the future, which I think in a lot of cases, in a lot of businesses and industries, that is the case. And so they go back to the well and go back to government and say, no, put a gun to these people's head and say they cannot advance. We cannot change society because we've been making money this way for so long. We don't want to change. It would be too much work to update ourselves. Okay, that's number one. Number two, it's really kind of a dumb argument because I don't understand, at least from a marketing standpoint, how is not being found on the internet going to save your industry? How is your website with your news stories on it not being found on Google or Drudge Report or any other aggregate site going to help you make more money? I would love to be the first news story on Google every day. Google, if you're listening, feel free. Feel free. And I don't care what you say about me. Just put my stuff in front of 3 billion people. It'd be awesome. Drudge? Yeah, Matt, buddy, we're probably not that. We would hang. We could hang. Put my stuff on your website. You douche. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but put it on the website. I would be perfectly happy with that. I'm not, you know what? I'll pay you. No, I won't pay you. That's not, I don't have any money. I'm barely paying my mortgage. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me from just a business standpoint. How is not being found on the internet a model for success? The thing is, it's not. And this is about stifling people's speech. And if they can do it here, they can do it in many other instances. And it just becomes a wedge. It becomes a way to put a crack in the veneer that is any sort of type of freedom of speech. They do not want you to speak. It is that simple, my friends. They do not want you to speak, and they're going to find any way, shape, and form to make that happen. Now, moving on to the United States. The United States has a history. As a matter of fact, we were created from a bunch of troublemakers, rabble-rousers, rabble. That's who we were, right? We didn't like the way things were happening in Great Britain or whatever, and we decided, you know what? We're going to cross an ocean in this rickety barge. Most of us will die. Right? We're going to go across, and then we're going to land on a place that has no buildings, it has no civilization. In fact, we don't know what it has. It could be just poisonous plants. We have no idea. Right? Or oral sex crazed bears. Yeah. How about that? They don't eat you, but you wish they did. They did that because they didn't like what was going on. They were willing to take on that risk. So, now that we have certain levels, or at least a lot of us, now that we have certain levels of freedom and things that we've become accustomed to as far as limits on government, the government can't just walk in and take away that which we have, right? They can't just walk in and say, okay, you know what, First Amendment, gone. We're not going to do that anymore because it takes away from our power. They can't do that. You'd have a revolution on their hands, and it would happen that quick. So you got to do things in a bit different way. You have to get people to want to give up their rights. You have to get people to want to give up their rights. How do you do that? Well, it's happened a couple of different times. And just off the top of my head, civil asset forfeiture. You've given up your property rights. The government can come in and take your property anytime they want. Anytime they want. This is the truth. This is not hyperbole in any way, shape, or form. Okay, look it up. Just type in, go ahead and Google. Yeah, Google little civil asset forfeiture and see what actually happens out there and the horror stories that Americans have had to deal with. The government comes in, takes all your stuff of value. They leave the crap behind. They freeze your bank accounts, and then they don't even charge you with the crime. It's grand theft. And it's being done by the government. It's being done by your local police departments, okay, to fund themselves so they can get a raise. That's what civil asset forfeiture is. Now, how is it and it's legal, by the way, so how is it that the American people decided, well, this would be a good idea? Yeah, well, okay, well, let's just do the civil asset forfeiture thing. Why would you want to give up all of your property rights in this country? How do you get people to do that? Well, got to give them a reason to. And that reason was those dirty drug dealers. Yeah, we got to get those dirty drug dealers. And the best way to do it is hit them where it hurts. That's right in the pocketbook. They only sell drugs to make money. So if you take their money away, they won't have a reason to sell drugs. Isn't that great? And the way we're going to do it is if we even suspect that stuff that you've got in your life has something to do with drugs, we're going to take it. We're going to take it. Civil asset forfeiture because it had something to do with drugs. And now it's being used on regular, everyday, average Joes like you and me to take their stuff because the government wants to. And we allowed them to do it. Isn't that fun? How about the Fourth Amendment? How about your guarantee It's not necessarily a guarantee of privacy. It is a guarantee that the government isn't going to go fishing to find something on you to throw you in jail. That's what it is. The Fourth Amendment is a guarantee against political prisons. That's what it is. And they've completely taken that away. The government has completely taken that away. Everybody's information online, every communication, everything you say on the phone, every text you send, every email, every website you go to, everywhere you buy something, all that information is aggregated and is controlled by the government. It's saved forever. And if they need to go back and find something to build a case on you, they will do it. And there's nothing we can do to stop them because we allowed them to have the power in the first place. How did that happen? How did we completely give away our right to any sort of a semblance of privacy and our guarantee against political prisons? How did we do that? Well, those terrorists out there. Isn't them terrorists bad hombres, man? And we got to find them before they come back to America. That's right. So we're going to have some Homeland Security. We're going to get the TSA out there. And by the way, we're going to spy on every American because it's the right thing to do. Right? Terrorism. They promised us, right after 9/11, man. Everybody's scared to death of terrorists, and they promise us, well, you'll be safe. All you got to do is give up those stupid constitutional rights. You give that up, and we'll keep you safe. Has that happened? No. Are we safer? No. Would we be safer even if another terrorist attack never took place? No. Because at this point, the biggest terrorist in this country is the United States government. So, how are they going to take away your freedom to speak in the United States of America? Well, it's real simple. It's called marketing. You see, no one, including myself, thinks that child sex trafficking is okay. Nope, I don't think it's okay. It's atrocious, the fact that this stuff goes on. And the Senate on Tuesday introduced an amendment to a law which protects host websites from liability for content posted by others on their websites. Sites like Backpage.com are the impetus of this and have been criticized for facilitating child sex trafficking. You see, these free and open websites where people can post stuff and sometimes make money, whatever I never gone to Backpage.com. I don't know what it is. Could be like Craigslist or something. But people can post stuff for free, and then some of those people are bad people that are having coded messages for child sex stuff. And now they want to make the business liable for that. Why? Well, because the businesses themselves don't know you, right? As the people in the audience, they don't know every one of you, so they can't be 100% certain that you, as a person, are not going to post that stuff. And even if they think you're good and you just decide to, then they're in trouble. So I guess we just have to shut down, right? Isn't that how it works? So all these sites where you can communicate with people for free, all these sites where you can communicate with people and sell stuff and do what have you for free, they're simply going to go away because the liability is far too high. The Stop Enabling Sex Traffic Act of 2017. And who wouldn't vote for that? What, do you want sex trafficking? What the hell is your problem? And that's how they'll do it. Who wants child sex trafficking? You don't? Okay, good. Then just give us your First Amendment rights and we will make sure there's no more child sex trafficking. Now, that is ultimately the question, and what is being posed to you is that. Now, the sad part about this is, no matter what they did, okay, no matter what the government does, will child sex trafficking stop? Do they have the power? Do they have the physical ability to stop child sex trafficking? The answer is no. How many billions, trillions maybe to this point we've spent on the war on drugs have we stopped the drug flow or the drug usage in this country? Or has it only increased? We had a constitutional amendment to stop boozing in America. Did it stop? No. It, in fact, created some of the most powerful mafia organizations on planet Earth. That's what it did. They're not going to keep you safe. Take back your Fourth Amendment rights. And they're not going to stop child sex trafficking. So don't you dare think about giving up the First Amendment. Here's an interesting one for you if you're into space travel at all. I thought this is kind of a cool breakthrough and a real story here. I like how I quantify everything as a real story because you never know if it's going to be a joke, right? If I'm going to say something in jest. Anyway, you just take one carbon dioxide molecule, apply high voltage, wait a few weeks, and enjoy a meal of single-cell proteins. There you go. It may not be a culinary delight, but it could feed our future. The creation of artificial food out of thin air with just a few microbes added is a result of a study by researchers in Finland. It's the Food from Electricity program. They say it's 10 times more efficient than photosynthesis in plants. Now, it's at this point in time, of course, it's brand new science, is not really designed for human consumption, but may soon be reducing the strain on our crops by providing alternative sources of fodder for animal feed. So, being able to feed stuff that eats meat, proteins. I guess there's proteins in plants too, so could be feeding pigs and feeding the cows and stuff like that. Well, did you get your powder, Bessie? That sort of thing. But ultimately, in the future, you refine it enough where the proteins can be grown and then, manipulated into different types of foods and what have you. And you've got a electric way of creating sustenance for extreme long durations on space flight. Right? Think about, just here today, think about this. The nuclear submarines that are under the water, the only reason those subs ever have to come to the surface, the only thing that forces them to the surface is food, not water, not air. They create their own water. They create their own air. So all they need is food to keep the people on it alive. If they had, call it a replicator that just created food out of thin air, then they would never have to come up. You could spend your entire life underwater. Isn't that amazing? So, I think it's cool. I mean, we're really sort of marching towards a future of space travel. I mean,
this isn't food. It's violence.
I mean, making food with a taser is kind of violent, but Mueller. God, that guy he looks like Herman Munster's older, angrier father, doesn't he? I mean, really. Special counsel Robert Mueller has implanted a grand jury. It's supposed to be impaneled, but I think he's implanting something, if you know what I'm talking about, in Washington, D.C. to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 elections, a sign that his inquiry is growing in intensity and entering a new phase, according to people familiar with the matter. I see it as something very, very different, and I'm not the only one that sees it that way. Stefan Molyneux, of course, a wonderful YouTube personality, talks politics and philosophy all the time. He sat down with Mike Cernovich, and this is what they had to say.
This, to me, a special counsel, the Mueller, who's trying to use or is going to use his federal grand jury. Now, people I don't think understands just what a horrendous kind of star chamber secret court it is, designed to trap people in perjury charges and bankrupt them from here to eternity. But I wonder if you can help people step through, like after a year of throwing, I can't even imagine how many resources, how many people, how much labor has been thrown at this Russia hacked the election investigation. After a year of this, the idea that you need a special counsel, it just strikes me as a complete and total witch hunt designed to keep, sober, intelligent people who want to hang on to their fortunes or at least any kind of income away from the Trump administration. I wonder if you can help step people through what this means and what the purpose of it is really.
Right. The Democratic committee had a $1.2 billion budget for Hillary Clinton. If you have a $1.2 billion budget, hire private forensic people. If there's Russian, you're going to find Opera research. And of course, none of it was ever found. So then they appoint the special counsel Mueller, who's a Democrat donor. He gets a bunch of Democrat donors on there. They go look for Russia stuff. They can't find anything. So now they convene a grand jury. So I want to tell you why grand juries are evil. They are sealed proceedings. They are a star chamber. You go in and they ask you questions, and sometimes they try not to even let you have a lawyer inside there with you. You have to walk outside to your lawyer and say, here's the question. And then you walk back in, and they'll just wear you off for 8 hours. And what most people don't realize is that any lie, a lie, which, as you know, could be a mistake of fact, not even intent to deceive, no matter how immaterial, will set you up for an obstruction charge or for a perjury charge. And that's what's really going on here. So Mueller's got nothing. There's nothing on Russia. So what he's going to try to do is ensnare as many mid-level or low-level staffers as he can and essentially frame them for crimes that they never committed.
Now, this whole Russian thing is disintegrating in front of their eyes. It's been several months. It's been a long, long time. What is it? It's probably climbing up to close to a year now, and yet nothing at all has been found. They can't even tell us what crime has been committed. There is no crime that's committed. There is no collusion. This is simply a conspiracy theory. Now, this guy is, I guess, part of the Democratic establishment here, and he's been impaneled to get them. Go out and get them. You just sick them. That's who Mueller is, right? So what do when you don't have the evidence to get them on the thing that you want to get them on because it doesn't exist? Well, you try to manufacture some sort of situation where there is a breakage of law, and that is what they are doing with all of this. They've got no evidence to support anything, and now they want to entrap people. All to keep this Russian conspiracy theory in the news. That's the whole point of this. We want to keep the Russian conspiracy theory in the news. We want it to be the thing that people are talking about. Now, they've been talking about it for so long. I think the fervor within public is actually going away. We're becoming numb to it. I mean, they've cried wolf so many times that we just don't buy it anymore, and that's a good thing, I guess. But they're not going to stop. All right, and if they can get one guy, for any reason, they will make it, even if they made a mistake in speaking at one of these grand juries, then that will be proof positive that, the whole Russian conspiracy thing was true and the election was stolen, and that's the only thing that you will see on CNN. Now, CNN, in fact, they've been pulling back on some stuff because, I guess it's good for advertisers. The advertisers like going after Trump, which probably isn't a good idea. And they've been making a lot of money on it, but there's been a lot of pushback because people just simply aren't buying what they're selling anymore. In fact, things got a bit awkward on CNN on Friday when the U-boat captain, Wolf Blitzer, seemed to be criticizing one of the network's reporters over the quality of one of her sources.
We've seen resignation now after resignation. Sean Spicer, the press secretary, resigned earlier in the week. His close friend and ally in the White House, Reince Priebus, is now gone.
Right. And I think in a way the Reince Priebus departure is not a surprise. Although we did get pushback on it today, but we had heard...
When you say pushback, a lot of our viewers don't understand that. Are these people simply out of the loop? They don't know what they're talking about, or are they lying?
It could be a little bit of both. And it could also be that the person involved didn't know at that point. Well, if it's hard to know. All I know is, you're only as good as your sources, and you have a source that tells you that Reince Priebus will be gone, and then you have a good source that tells you that's not the case. And
well, clearly the sources that were pushing you away are not good sources. So you got to be careful with those sources down the road.
Yes.
Either they don't know what they're talking about, or they're lying.
Well,
so those sources presumably will go away.
But I'm
That's
not
my
the only one
experience
here. But
as a reporter.
I'm a reporter. I'm Wolf Blitzer. You got to watch your sources. I'm old and I hate everyone. I'm getting there too, Wolfie. So it's perfectly fine. So they're trying to throw in some things that are a way to try to bring back their credibility, saying, yeah, we know. We've been kind of bad, and we've come up with some fake news, and that's what we've actually been doing, since way before the election, shilling for Hillary. But, we really know how to do this whole thing. We are professional journalists over here. So just you relax. We got good stuff. Keep on watching our network. That's what it's all about. But the purpose of this is just to keep this Russian conspiracy theory going. By now, in this whole scenario, if it were Watergate, at this point in time with Watergate, there were already high-level White House officials serving time. Okay, so this whole thing, none of it really exists. And the new media spokesperson for the administration, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, was giving a presser, and she started really going after the press, and I think she did a great job with it.
I think what the bigger question is, everybody wants to try to make this some story about misleading. The only thing I see misleading is a year's worth of stories that have been fueling a false narrative about this Russia collusion and based on a phony scandal based on anonymous sources. And I think that is, if we're going to talk about misleading, that's the only thing misleading I see in this entire process. You guys are focused on a meeting that Don Jr. had no consequence when the Democrats actually colluded with a foreign government like Ukraine. The Democrat-linked firm Fusion GPS actually took money from the Russian government while it created the phony dossier that's been the basis for all of the Russia scandal fake news. And if you want to talk further about a relationship with Russia, look no further than the Clintons, as we've said time and time again. Bill Clinton was paid $500,000 to give a speech to a Russian bank and was personally thanked by Putin for it. Hillary Clinton allowed 1/5 of America's uranium to reserve to be sold to a Russian firm whose investors were Clinton Foundation donors, and the Clinton campaign chairman's brother lobbied against sanctions on Russia's largest bank and failed to report it. If you guys want to talk about having relations, which you seem obsessed with doing, look no further than there. If you want to talk about somebody who's actually been tough on Russia, look at President Trump. He wants more fracking, more coal, more energy, a stronger military, a stronger defense. Those things aren't good for Russia. I think the distinctions are very clear, and you guys want to create a narrative that just doesn't exist.
Well done. And everybody's like, oh, get her, burn her. But everything she said was absolutely true. She did it quite succinctly. And okay, look, that didn't come off the top of her head. I mean, if you're watching the video here, you can tell she was looking down. She had the notes. This is all pre-prepared, but that's fine. Everything she said was true, and she pulled it off really well. And I like how towards about 3/4 through there, they're like, oh, as soon as she said the Clintons, look at the Clintons, immediately people in the press corps were going, how dare you? But it's all absolutely true. The wrongdoing in our government is solely stuck in the hands of the Clintons. And when you've got a media that refuses to acknowledge that, then you've got real problems. Now, why is all this existing? To keep this Russian conspiracy theory going. Got to keep it going because it's controlling the narrative of what people speak about. And when you can control that narrative, then the messages that are really important never get out. Never get out. From the Daily Wire. Second only to Miami-Dade, Broward is the biggest county in a crucial swing state that is Florida. And like Miami-Dade, registered Republicans are vanishing species there by a 2-to-1 ratio of 508,000 to 252,000. Okay, so 508,000 Democrats, 252,000 Republicans. Democrats that enjoy a massive advantage to the GOP. Currently, election supervisor there, a Democrat originally appointed by, get this, Jeb Bush, is fighting a federal lawsuit over the county's apparent refusal to clean up its voter rolls. Okay? Refusal to clean up the voter rolls. The suit, filed by the American Civil Rights Union, claims that their own audit shows Broward County has more voters on its rolls than eligible aged people to vote that are residents there. Or at the very least, they're close to 100% voter registration. That's outrageous because that doesn't exist anywhere. In other words, when people die, are convicted of a felony, or move elsewhere or file false registration forms, nothing or not enough is being done to remove them from the voter rolls. What it means is that if this person or someone claiming to be this person walks in to vote, the fact that they are on the voter rolls makes it next to impossible to stop them from casting an illegal vote. And this Democrat election supervisor is trying to keep it that way. So this whole idea of a Russian conspiracy theory is based on the idea that Russia stole our election all the while. It's the Democrats fighting tooth and nail to steal the election, to do as many illegal things as they can to control the political outcomes in this country. That's what we should be talking about. Not a Russian conspiracy theory, a Democrat conspiracy theory to take away your vote and your political power. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Here's one that'll make you happy, though. It's a good idea. It's kind of, well, it's sad that we're even having this conversation. North Carolina passed a campus free speech bill last week that will allow sanctions for students who disrupt free speech of others. The move made the Tar Heel state the fifth state to add such a law to its books. So all this stuff that's happening in California and all these, the Berkeley campus and all these different places where Milo Yiannopoulos or Ben Shapiro go to speak and then they get shouted down and people throwing Molotov cocktails and all that stuff. It's not going to happen in this state. You will face criminal sanction for that. I don't understand how. I don't understand why we need a rule. I don't understand why we need a law. That can all be governed under the current rubric of laws that we have. If somebody is out there and you've got a giant group of masked people, many of them throwing Molotov cocktails, you arrest everybody and sort it out later, and you have full rights to do that because I'll give it to you, okay? I'm not going to be the one out there, trying to stop people or harm people. It's only the bad people that are doing that. And you, Mr. Police Officer, and you, Mr. Government Official, it behooves you. It is your job to keep me safe when I'm out there wanting to speak. People don't have to listen to me, but they can't punch me for saying what I say. And now we have to talk about it. Apparently, people just don't get the First Amendment, and they don't want to get the First Amendment because the First Amendment is power, and they don't want to give up that power. One quick one before we get out of here. I'm trying to keep these podcasts a bit shorter for you because it's been pretty long and insane as of late. Just understand something about the left and the Greenies. The Greenies are insane people. The idea, the power behind the green movement, the power behind global warming movement, environmentalism, is we have got to save the planet to save humanity. That's how it relates to people. We've got to save the planet because if we don't have a planet, we can't live there. The truth is, they stop, their empathy stops at save the planet. They don't like the people on the planet. Environmentalism is an anti-human endeavor. It is an anti-human religious endeavor. And now they want to kill your dog. This is from Patch.com out of Los Angeles. When it comes to global warming, Fido and Fluffy are part of the problem, says a new study by UCLA. Pet owners in the United States create about 64 million tons of carbon dioxide a year. A research from UCLA has found that's the equivalent of driving 13.6 million cars for a year. Oh, no. The problem lies with the meat-filled diets of kitties and dogs. Say dogs and cats are responsible for about 25 to 30% of the impacts of meat production in the United States. Compared to plant-based diets, meat production requires more energy, land, water, and has greater environmental consequences in terms of erosion, pesticides, and water. So guess what? We're just going to have to stomp your dog to death. Let's have dog killing day. It'll be fun. All right, that is it. Thank you for joining the show. Michael Newman wrapping things up. Make sure to go to the website, michaelnewmanproductions.com. There you can get the links for all the stories we talked about today. Contact me, send me an email by clicking the contact link. You can also check me out on Twitter, Newmaniac1. And check out the services link as well. I do a lot of things, including voiceover and more. And please, please, please support the show. Support the show. Click the support icon. It's big and blue. It's square. It's right there. Tells you about Patreon, how that works, and then takes you to the Patreon site where you can support the show for as little as $1 a month. Have a great evening.
See ya!